Just like with the Great War, it only took a few moments for everything to fall to pieces.
Oh, Amoria, it was so nice to hear from you. The truth be told, it's probably better that you were not here. I didn't want to dampen your spirits because I do wish more than anything that you were here, but I've been dreading this year's fall festival. My father has not been well lately. I expect to have to calm him down off of one of his tirades at the big dinner. Heaven knows no one else will say a word. But it's more than just his usual temper. I think the war has been upsetting him more than any of us anticipated, and we've been dealing with the consequences. I could give a damn what stable is designated for my region. I don't buy your horse shit for 1 second. I'm not even surprised. Knowing how many of their people come from Manchester and their debased runic magics sparking away in their technology, I never trusted them before, and I was a fool to think they'd be anything different. It doesn't matter. You think you hold power over us? That your bigotry can deny my family's safety from a war you had a hoof in? Well, you don't. I will protect my family from the twilight of our civilization. I will see that they live through the balefire, no matter the cost, no matter the sacrifice. We will survive.
Well then, at least he's not bitter.
No, he really wasn't. Because it wasn't bitterness I read in his words. It was hatred. A deep-seated hatred that had lasted through the centuries. Their hearts were still broken from the injustices Manchester had wrought upon them. One prejudice had simply given birth to another.
The land was very empty. The 5 highways at least had scattered infrastructures and vehicles. But this place, the Plains country, that was the heartland of Equestria. Vast amounts of farmland as far as the eye could see, or at least it used to be. Instead, my parents and their friends found themselves in a dead land. The fields of crops and food had been replaced with large gaping craters. A thin grey haze hung in the air, as if it was sucking all the colour out of the world beneath it. This whole facility is under its doomsday alarm from the Great War. The main intranet for this place is broadcasting the alert, so I had to isolate the building to its own local area network to shut it down. So that's what the Black Code lockdown is supposed to be.
Do you have any questions about our system protocols?
Yes, sure. Please explain what we need to do so you won't shoot at us.
Certainly. Mares Island Industrial Maintenance Yard is a fully self-sustaining civil defence complex owned and operated by the Equestrian Arcane Systems and Technologies Corporation, or East Corp for short.
So what are you exactly?
I am an East Corp Series 4 Sentinel droid. Under Tile 83 of Royal Equestrian Code, Mare Island is designated as an essential operation facility, meaning that it is designed to survive all possible threat scenarios. In event of ground-based assault, Mare Island is protected by a 70-foot tall defensive wall equipped with 36 laser batteries along the perimeter. In the event of full-scale mega-spell assault, our 3 state-of-the-art MARS guns are designed to neutralize incoming projectiles before they come within effective range. A magically generated bubble will project from Building 1 to ensure the safety of all personnel on the island. This bubble will stay active until air quality has reached acceptable levels or power constraints requires it to shut down.
Then what does Code Black Lockdown mean?
Code Black Lockdown indicates that Mare Island is currently fighting aerial bombardment or invasion by hostile forces. Those without proper identification or recognized credentials from our employee database will be assumed to be invading soldiers.
Then why did you kill these guys?
There are no identification profiles found on that device. Perhaps it has been damaged. My local registry of personal records, including retinal information, seems to be corrupted. I must locate an administrator that is not currently deceased.
Which is probably the worst irony of it all. The devices that were keeping them safe from destruction ended up being the things that killed them in the end.
Even all the way down here 100 feet below the surface, buried under metal and earth, something went wrong. Something very important failed, and because of that, every pony died.
Because a lot of you hear my voice, or whatever song is playing at the moment, but you don't get to see behind the scenes all that often. If you did, you'd have an idea of how often I'm reminded of the past. Just like so many robots ticking away out there in the wasteland, doing the last thing they were programmed to do, the radio is the same way. Once every hour, my transmitter performs an automated network test to see what stations are transmitting. Because most of the large old buildings still have a reactor keeping them going, there are a lot of signals to pass through. Most of these signals aren't actually broadcasting, as you can tell, but they are sending closed-circuit transmissions to other radio stations, called carrier signals, letting all the other stations know who's out there. When my transmitter runs that hourly test, I can hear all the carrier signals for all the old radio stations still playing. They are the voices that would have been spoken by each transmitter, if they had the strength to say anything at all. Those voices are what each station transmitted on that last day, the day the bombs fell and the world as we knew it ended. Their transmission is like a funeral dirge, the last words spoken by tens of thousands of ponies, bringing entertainment, or news, or personal accounts like this to millions of adoring listeners. Let me play you a sample of what I hear at this time every day. A bit haunting, isn't it? Every day, every hour, I hear these echoes of the past, these ghosts living on in the airwaves. I'm reminded that we're one of the few stations that are still here, still carrying on, bringing you entertainment, news, and personal accounts to each of you adoring listeners. So they were tasked with keeping track of military weapons and technology?
Not just keeping, but long-term storage. The conflict with the Zebras was very heated even before the invention of the megaspells. The Old Kingdom had reached the point of total war, where almost every company, industry, and citizen was contributing to the war effort in one way or another. Which meant they were developing many different kinds of weapons, some conventional and some highly experimental. Not all of them actually got used during the Great War. In fact, when news broke out that the Zebras had megaspells too, it pretty much became an accepted fact that there would be a full-on exchange of balefire bombs.
They knew even then.
Oh yes, which is why so many things were built to survive the coming balefire apocalypse. Stable-Tech specifically were commissioned to construct all those civilian shelters.
We've heard quite a few stories about those.
But obviously they were more than just the stables. Almost every military facility had some kind of function planned for it after surviving the Great War. The Special Material Command were put in charge of constructing and maintaining special underground storage outposts so that the military could be rebuilt after the war and reclaim control of the wasteland. During the war, the outposts were very vital when constructed. They were the vaults that would hold the weapons to retake the world, to start picking ourselves up from the ashes. So because both sides were hesitant to actually use the megaspells, the conventional war raged on, and we were still losing hundreds of soldiers every day. In light of this, the 24 outposts had become a major waste of horsepower. That's when the decision was made to seal up all but one of the outposts and only keep a small standing unit at Castle Alpha.
So they just abandoned the others?
Not abandoned per se. They were fully stocked and ready to house a population during the fallout. But something went wrong on the day the bombs began dropping. They got word when the strike happened in Manhattan, and from there everyone began preparing to seal up the castle. But as they were checking the regular reports from other military installations, suddenly all the comms went dark.
Oh no.
Because Thunder Valley is so remote, there had to be a series of communication stations between there and the capital. So we assumed that one of them must have been hit.
So that was just it? They were completely in the dark?
Well, yes and no. There were some underground data lines between us and Castle Alpha and about 10 of the nearest outposts, but there simply wasn't enough time to build the others when the bombs dropped, so everything east of Canyon City was unreachable. Although the starting capacity was 100, each outpost is able to sustain a standing population of 500, which we would have let in. But those were 5,000 slots that sat empty while the surface was bathed in bright green fire.
How tragic.
The bases limited how large our population could be, and even though we were able to stretch that number by improving our facilities and having rangers out in the field, we could only do so much. Somehow, TikTok had convinced over 10,000 raiders to make the long journey down to Thunder Valley, deep in the southwest of Equestria. But even if he had sent 100,000, he wouldn't have been able to beat us. It took just one traitor to cause all of the guardianship to come crashing down.
How is that possible? For one pony to have access to entry codes is one thing, but then to sneak them all past the guards on the higher levels? Not to mention, this sounds like someone who must have a major grudge against all of you. Who would willingly turn against his brothers and sisters, betray them all to an evil gang of vicious raiders?
It's kind of sad, isn't it? That it only takes one traitor to undo 200 years of faithful duty. Could you imagine if the Great War was the same way? It'd be like if someone had told the zebras how to build a balefire bomb. The rest of our journey felt like time had slowed down. It was a 3-hour trip to reach Outpost Delta, but it might as well have been a lifetime. This mission, the guardianship, meant everything to us. It was our sole duty in life. It was the reason our ancestors had survived the Great War. We had a righteous purpose. We were the stewards of these ancient vaults of pre-war technology. They were supposed to change the world, empower a new government to light the way and guide us out of this darkness. We were going to march in, ready to serve whoever the new princess or king or goddess might be. They would bring back the sun. They would rebuild civilization thanks to us. It felt like the end of the world all over again. Everyone we knew is gone.
I am not going to mislead you, Captain. It's easier for you just to accept the truth now rather than us try to sugarcoat it. But the war, I muttered. The war ended, Captain, Colonel Baker said flatly, as everything else ended with it. The room was a standard-looking lobby, the kind you would expect in any large office building. To each side of the doors where ponies would wait for appointments and meetings. But no one was waiting. In fact, no one was sitting in the chairs at all. All the ponies that had been in there had pounded desperately on the doors trying to escape. All of them were dead. They had been reduced down to a few dozen skeletons, now blocking almost every door except the one I entered through.
It's pretty ironic that during the Great War, when everyone was trying to get into a building for safety, they were trying to get out.
This was clearly something that happened right after the end of the war. All of the skeletons were wearing clothing from that time. No raiders, no stable dwellers. They were normal equestrians, just going about their lives. Savannah was not destroyed much by the Great War. The bombs were focused on their larger cities, so much of the buildings were intact. Initially a small company, it was founded by 3 friends from Oxford University. Each of them were individually skilled in biology, chemistry, and medicine. Their combined work grew Ivory Labs into a medium-sized pharmaceutical firm. However, just like everything else, that was changed by the Great War. They were having increasingly supply problems as the war was draining resources faster than they could develop new chemicals. It forced them to accept a buyout from a large company just to stay afloat. That is when Ivory Labs was purchased by East Corp, becoming the new biochemical wing of their conglomerate.
Well, that explains the Sentinel droids.
While frustrated by the new oversight, the three friends continued to do their best to make the world a better place, even as it was unfurling all around them. The last years of the war separated the three of them, getting pulled to opposite sides of the kingdom to lead separate teams on projects for the Ministry of Arcane Science, Ministry of Peace, and Equestrian Army Chemical Corps, respectively.
Valencia, I'm sorry I couldn't take your call earlier. It's been a long day. Spent half the night just reading messages while waiting for yet more messages to arrive. Limos is still on her vacation, whatever that means. And Nos says she hates it in Hartfield. Says it's too hot. I would be happy to swap with them, because I don't get the appeal of Winnie City either. All these cities are too damn big. Too many ponies packed too damn tightly together. You remember those oats I left in the fridge? Yeah, they went bad after all. Took one bite and spit the rest out. All I've had since lunch are candy bars. Please call me back once your mother's in bed, because I am going stir-crazy. Love you.
When are these messages from?
You'll find out soon enough.
Hey, it's me again. Listen, we've got a bit of a situation going on. I didn't think she had the guts to try anything, but by Celestia, Limos actually stole something. Somehow she got into the Manhattan facility and took the dipole module from the transmitter. Just like that, we lost radio communications for a quarter of the kingdom. I need to be closer to resolve this, so I'm heading back home. I'll be in the air for the next few hours, but you should be able to reach me if the storms aren't too bad. Talk to you soon.
It's weird hearing his voice frazzled like that. Quite different from the radio promotions.
Listen to me, Nos. I don't care if you're asleep. You call me back immediately or I'll send some Sentinel droids to wake you up. She's gone too far this time, Nos. This isn't squabbling over ethics or philosophy. She's disabled her transmitter. This is corporate espionage at the very least, but terrorism would be more accurate. You and V better talk some sense into her soon, because if I find her first, there will be no more chances.
Well, that's frightening.
Valencia, where are you? You should be up by now. I'm sending someone to check on you. I'm in Naranyavia. Been drinking nothing but coffee and menthols since midnight. I'm sorry about the menthols. Please don't be mad. Things are a mess. Everything in Windy City is down to... Everything from Windy City down to Baltimore is dark on the network. The underground cable should be getting the signal out to the other towers, though. So you should be getting these messages down there in Luxor. Either the Hartfield or Mare Island antennas should be broadcasting. Anyway, I've had Sentinel droids and Sprite bots patrolling everywhere around Manhattan. I don't think Limos left the city. She probably squirreled away in a motel somewhere in Uptown. Probably tampered with her Gauntlet's GPS, otherwise we would have spotted her way before Manhattan. Oh, by the way, Primrose and the others say hello. You should see what they've done with the bungalows.
It's fascinating hearing all this fall together.
Attention directors. This is an executive level broadcast because the news hasn't reached the public yet. It's begun. A few minutes ago, a Megaspell missile made contact with the Pegasi city of Cloudsdale. It has been utterly obliterated from the sky. Expect more detonations within the hour. We are waiting to hear a statement from Canterlock, but unless told otherwise, we are moving forward as planned. If everything else goes wrong, at least we were prepared. I am initiating Code Black across all installations. Be ready for anything. Also, I have not been able to contact my wife and her mother in Luxor. If anyone has units in the area, please find them immediately. Please have them contact me as soon as you locate them.
To think that we're just a few days past the anniversary, hearing the events of the last day unfold.
How haunting.
Valencia, my beautiful darling, please answer me. Where are you? I have machines searching everywhere for you. My reach extended from over 1,000 miles away, and yet it feels like nothing. I will not stop until I see your face again. Wherever you are, seek shelter. I think the closest place to Luxor is the Sinopolis mine. We visited there once. It's a quartz mine just up the highway. Remember? We gave your mother that terminal, and I opened the case and pointed at the spell matrix. Then I said we dug up the crystals just up the road. Manhattan is gone. A giant cloud just rose up over the city. We felt the shockwaves all the way up here. Most of the dockyard workers are okay. I put out the alert a few minutes ago and most got to the sublevels in time. The transmitter cables are fine, but most of the robots have been vaporized. Just a few dozen sentinel droids left in the building watching the doors. At least there's a good chance Limos is dead. We still haven't heard from Babs. Primrose is crying. I know it's pretty rural where you are. Please, put on your Eigel mask anyway. The suit will do the rest. I trust Vedius. He was always the best of the three. The mask will keep you alive no matter what. I'm having the others put theirs on too, although the Mars gun should keep us safe. If you are in the air flying, and that's why I haven't heard from you, just come home. Please just come home. The others are all landing too. We will be together. We will make it through this. I love you.
Ridgeback and I were listening to these for nearly an hour. There were a lot of calls in between that weren't very important. All the meaningful ones, obviously, were the ones to his wife, Valencia. But still we listened to every single call, every frantic communication to a dozen different places as the bombs were dropping everywhere. His terminal had tons of information. I think it was the backup for the gauntlet that Harvest Orange wore. In order to actually listen to these audio files, we had to download them individually to the gauntlet I had pulled off the skeleton. The only ones I have are the ones we listened to. The very last one is the one that gave us our answer.
Attention directors. Do whatever you can to keep all possible channels of communication open. If Limo survived the destruction of Manhattan, she could use the dipole module to sabotage other communications. You know how hard she fought us before. There's nothing stopping her now. Our defenses are holding against the Zebra weapons, but stay vigilant. We should be fully operational within the hour. A few sites are having more external troubles than others. I have Project Mercury with me. I am installing it in our transmitter. It should help counter whatever Limos' plan to do with the Manhattan dipole module. I will send the confirmation when we are ready to flip the switch. Be ready.